We're really excited. We've got Kevin is from DC, Kevin Mullins. We've got Travis Barnes. I think you're in New York, aren't you, Travis?
I am.
Yeah. We've got Jeff Howard. We're still not sure where he is. I know there's a state called Tennessee, but I know there's, I don't know, Kentucky, Bourbon, I'm not sure. And Will, you're in beautiful
Auckland.
Aren't you?
Auckland,
Where
New
are you
Zealand.
right now?
Auckland, New Zealand for the moment.
Auckland,
for one more
New
week.
Zealand. What time is it there?
Despite the look of my camera, it's actually 11 o'clock in the morning. I just had to struggle to find somewhere to do a quiet call.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's very cool. So this is really, really fun. I love this topic. What is your group fitness superpower and how to use it? It's the whole focus of this is we have so many options for fitness and we can be any type of instructor that we want to be. When I think about this, what is your superpower as a group fitness instructor? And we're also going to talk a little bit about personal training as well. But who are you and what can you bring to your clients? And also, what can you embrace in yourself to be a better teacher? What can you enhance? What can you suppress? The whole deal. We've got Will. Now, I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Brereton.
Brereton, close enough.
Okay, I did pretty good. He's the founder of Shift, which is a really cool digital instructor training format. He can explain more about it. He's been training instructors from London to Los Angeles since the early 2000s. And we're really excited to have him here. Obviously, he's from New Zealand, so that's kind of cool. Or Auckland, yeah. So Jeff, everybody knows Jeff Howard. He is on the faculty for SCW. He leads our group exercise certification, our aquatic certification, and he's also led and is leading our yoga certification for Certification Smash. He also owns his own business at this point, teaching to how many clients do you have, Jeff, now?
250 or something, streaming live, and then I'm doing in the classroom another like 65, and yeah.
You have no life. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the real world, right? Yeah. Kevin Mullins, who currently lives in DC, who's moving to Miami. He's a fitness pro educator and author who has coached over 20,000 personal training sessions. He also shared that he's led probably about 500 Schwinn cycle classes. And he's the author of the best-selling personal training book, Day by Day, The Personal Trainer's Blueprint. And then we also have Travis Barnes. He's the CEO with his wife, Cindy Barnes, and they co-own Journey 333, which actually franchises their business. So if any of you out there are interested in owning your own business, it's kind of a cool time to try to launch things. He owns several locations in New York, and he's the co-author of the best-selling book, Results Fitness. But I do have to say, guys, that the reason that we decided to do this webinar, What's Your Group Fitness Superpower, is all because of Will and what he's doing with his Shift programming. He has a really cool questionnaire that I rushed through. It takes, what did you say, Will? It takes about 60 seconds.
Yeah, it's best not to overthink it. The first answer that you come to is usually the right one.
Yeah, and it was really cool because it kind of, if any of you have heard of the DISC profiling, it's somewhat based on that to figure out what type of instructor you are. So Will, I'm going to start with you. And what do you mean by a group fitness superpower?
Sure. So as you said, I think the link is in the top of the chat box, up above everybody saying where they're from. Essentially, I've worked for quite a few training companies and have been training. So I used to work for Les Mills, and I was a big part of Beachbody Live as well. And one of the things I've always noticed when people are learning to be instructors or developing their instructing is that they often focus on their weaknesses. And in a time when teaching has become very difficult and people have had to move into live stream, deal with not being able to teach in person, it's kind of been a year where a lot of the joy has been sucked out of teaching for a lot of people. Some people have found it really easy and managed to pivot to digital. Other people have really, really struggled. Now that things are starting to reopen, I thought it would be a really nice time to encourage people to do a little bit of self-reflection, think about what they love about teaching, what maybe they don't find so easy about teaching. And so this superpower quiz was just a fun way of utilizing my psychology degree that I did 20 years ago and have never done anything with, and using the disc profiles to create some superhero avatars for instructors. It's really just a kicking off point. It's a simple quiz. You may or may not think that the result that you get is right, but for sure, it'll help you to think about what it is that you like about teaching and what it is that really brought you into group fitness in a way that will hopefully allow you to recapture the joy.
That's cool. Recapturing the joy. I think a lot of us have felt in the past. I remember early on in our webinar history, it felt like a very gloomy roller coaster. Like I just had to push myself to stay up. And it was always, I was going down, and push myself to stay up, and I was going down. And now I feel, I'm very excited. Here I go. Look, there's my, I don't know what is this called again? COVID vaccination record card. It means I can hopefully one day travel internationally. But it feels like since people are getting vaccinated, since the summer is coming, at least, hello, welcome to Chicago. It was almost 80 degrees here today and sunny. It was a miracle. And it just feels like things are lifting up. And economically, things are lifting up. We've gotten our stimulus checks and things like that. So we all feel better, a little bit better with who we are, regardless if you've decided to get vaccinated or not. I know there's people out there that are choosing to wait, and I totally respect that. But I love what you're doing, Will, that looking at your strengths. And I took the quiz, and I was that blue person. I was the detail
Perfectionist.
person. The what?
The perfectionist.
The perfectionist, basically. Yeah, there's another word a lot of people use when they describe me. So, but I'm like a planner. Travis, do you see different avatars for your group fitness staff? Do you see certain people that relate to certain groups that maybe you didn't think they'd be this amazing instructor, but they built this kind of tribe following them?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that we all use different words for, how we label such things. I've always looked for people that were relational. I feel like that is just more important than education. At the same time, we've had some people that really contribute to our program design because maybe they are more of a perfectionist. Maybe they're more of a technician, you might call them. And that would be their superpower, that they know how to really analyze. And that same one that really gets thrilled by writing programs weekly is also thrilled by, being kind of, not to use a negative connotation with it, but a form Nazi, right? So to speak, like we need them. So then that way people can get better. At the same time, there's those people, and I believe that Will calls it the star. And man, do we love these people, because we believe that great fitness is great entertainment. And we believe that we need to have people out there that are willing to really entertain and put the FUN, fun, in functional fitness. So yeah, we see it, and we feel that we are better when we hire for differences rather than similarities, because it's great to have a team of diverse people, really. So yeah, definitely we look for that. And we encourage people also to look and realize that not every client needs you to be just always the same. You sometimes have to kind of adapt to that client, because let's face it, we all have those clients that we can't fix or perform entirely in a single session. It's going to take a lot of sessions, right? So don't beat them up, maybe just turn into that relational person as well during that session. So yeah, it's good that we can hire for different superpowers. Also good to recognize what the client needs at the same time. And so I look for coaches that have different powers, but also can adapt to different clients.
I think that's very astute, because you've got to have both sides of the sword, right?
Sure.
But I think as an owner and an operator, I think you have a deeper sensitivity than sometimes as a group fitness instructor I've experienced from, let's say, the group fitness manager or the club owner, because they think, oh my gosh, you should be this super smiley, jump up and down, bouncy individuals. But when I look at I have owned a studio, and when I look sometimes, I see the quieter, more sensitive and maybe the better educated instructor really building a solid, consistent following. So I think that that's interesting. Kevin, you also brought up a point before we turned the camera on. You brought up a point when you were relating to do the group fitness instructor to the personal trainer, and you said that the personal trainer kind of had to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when you're out on stage, like when I was with Equinox, I would regularly have classes of 45, 50, if it was spin 30, 35. But, you know, you go into a one-on-one, and if you bring the stage personality to a one-on-one, that person's going to look at you like you did a line that morning and just be like, can we not? Can we just not? So, you know, one-on-one is really about them anyway. It isn't about you being a performer. I am 100% in the let's put fun and functional when it's on stage. But I do believe for personal trainers, it is client first, client's emotions second, then your baggage and anything that makes you who you are third, because it is a personalized training session. But those same traits that make you likable in a group fitness class make you a great personal trainer too. I very literally would build my client deck based on my class. I would teach a class, someone would come, a couple classes, and then they say, hey, I think I saw you on the floor. Do you do personal training? Why, yes, I do. And then they, you know, they kind of got to see the alpha and omega of my personality. But at the same time, it worked as a feeder system for me. So to anyone here who works at a facility that offers both, one of the things you want to be able to do is be an asset to your management and to your ownership. Because if you can create your own lead generation stream, they don't have to worry about you. They don't have to worry about, oh, we got to send Travis some pipeline leads because, you know, he's not doing these other things. It's like, cool. Every time Travis teaches, he seems to pick up a client. We don't have to worry about him. And then you kind of endear yourselves to those who sign your paychecks.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of ones who sign the paycheck, Jeffrey, you have the unique experience of training instructors how to teach. And it's not just training them, here's how you do a knee lift, here's how you do a lunge, this is what you do during your warm-up, this is what you do during your cool down. It's also helping them realize who they are and giving them the confidence to pursue this. I just want you to share with that, and then also talk about the difference between aqua people, land people, yoga people, because maybe they do attract different people, or maybe they attract everybody.
Well, I want to start off with, first of all, what we're talking about today is really essential because there's a shortage of teachers. You guys, this is the time. If you are not a teacher or you know people that need to be teachers, you need to do it now because clubs cannot find teachers. So you actually have a bargaining chip now that you can actually treat it like a business because good teachers, they're doing their own things now. That's what I did. That's what everybody on this panel kind of done is their own things. They're not working for facilities anymore. So if you are a teacher, guys, you have a real good pull right now with your management and they need you. So I want you to think about that at first. And then the other thing I want to say is this, as teachers, you guys all know this. Everybody on this panel, the teacher you are today is not going to be the teacher you are next year. You're going to be better. It's a numbers game. The more you do anything, the better off you become. And so if you even think about the first time you taught anything, how terrible you were, and people still came, right? But now with numbers and the changing of doing it more and more and more, you're going to become better and better. And so for me, I love growth. And I think everybody on this panel loves growth and the people that are attending love growth. And that's why you're here as well. But I think it's to be open and it's interesting. Knowledge is an amazing thing. And I think getting recertified is great with different ideas and techniques. And there is a different population, you know, personalities. I always say it's cups of soup. Some people like tomato soup, some people like chicken noodle soup, some people like tomato soup, and some people hate soup. There is no bad teachers. It's just the right soup for that person that wants to attend your class. Do you guys agree with that kind of on the panel? Like there's no bad teachers. It's just us, the personality that clicks or not. And it's truthful. The number one reason people come to us is enjoyment. 2 is going to be that they get a workout and they get results from what they want with it. And I always ask as teachers that you ask members what they want. Have them fill out, summer's coming. If you do not get a piece of paper when you get back to your classes and say, give me 3 things you want to achieve this summer. You then get your classes to fill out. There's just 3 surveys. What do you want? You then get a game plan of what is going on. You get a game plan of what they want to do. And you're going to be surprised by the results. It's never going to be about weight loss. It's always going to be about other things that you just didn't realize. And it gives you feedback. And then you're going to tell them this, 6 weeks, give me 6 weeks, you'll see a change. 3 months, you'll get a permanent change. You then will get them to commit for 3 months as well, okay? So it's just kind of, I just think that we're at this great place right now. The pandemic is still happening, but we're coming out the other side. And I'm telling you this, guys, group fitness is going to be the first time that you actually can, A, ask for more money, B, let them know how good you are, C, you've tuned up your skills. And if you haven't, tune it up, get some ideas, go take different certifications, do aqua, do yoga, do Pilates. It's like everybody on the panel has kind of said, the more you can do, the more viable you are to your managers. And as what Kevin said as well, personal training, guys, if you've already taught Group X, you can do small Group X trainings. It's very easy to go lateral. It's very hard if you're a personal trainer to teach group of people. So really think about it. If you've not gotten personal trained certified through the pandemic, get it.
Of course, I love hearing that because, hello, I own an education company. But I was reading from Agnes. She says she's just burned out. She's just burned out. So, and Diana said she found her style changed over 20 years. As she evolved as a person, I'm imagining, she also changed with the way she taught and teaches. Will, what would you recommend for people who feel like they are getting burned out or they don't know which direction to go when they're teaching?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's actually, so I have a podcast where it's all about group fitness, and the one that we've had the most responses to and the most feedback from is one that we did at the start of the year, which was basically about hitting the pandemic wall and burnout. And it resonated with so many people because I think that as an instructor, you kind of powered through the restrictions of lockdowns and you went digital and you did all these things for your members. And it's completely normal to now feel like you're a little bit flat, particularly because things are starting back up and there's a lot of uncertainty with the fitness industry and exactly what's going to happen. My view is that now is the perfect time to do what the panel's been saying and what Jeff said and invest in yourself a little bit. So find something that might reignite your passion, reignite your joy, allow yourself to learn and to refresh some of the things that you loved about teaching. Because I think there's a tendency to pull away or to give everything to your classes. Whereas I think now is the time that you probably need to think about what can I do in the next couple of months that's going to add to my knowledge or bring me to a place where I can start to give more back, because you can't fill from an empty cup.
And it's interesting. Another person wrote, I'm loving teaching through Zoom. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of surprising, actually. At the beginning, I think everybody hated it. Now people are liking it because they have the freedom of, I'm just going to walk down in the basement and I'm just going to teach a class and I'm done. I don't have any travel time. I know what I'm getting. I know who's going to, regardless of who is on my screen, I'm teaching to a screen, but that connection seems to be lost a little bit. Travis, if you were coaching some of your staff to, become the best instructor they can be, everybody talks about education. I love that. But also, how would you encourage them to discover their superpower? What do your group managers do to, lead their staff, keep them motivated, prevent burnout, and help them find, that little jewel within them that makes them special?
It really does go back to exactly what we're talking about, which is your strengths, right? And so we have to, for the person that's suffering from burnout, we have to make a list of those things that give us energy, and then make a list of those things that are like energy vampires in our life. And here's what happens. This is the rule of life in general, that we get what we give, right? That's the law of the universe, right? If you want to get more, give more. And if you give fun, you'll get fun, right? If you invest in the things that give you energy, you'll get energy back. And so sometimes the thing about burnout or the about even giving your members a great experience is remembering to have fun, right? Sometimes we just get bogged down in the quagmire, and those are the things you shouldn't be doing. You have to figure out how to hand those things off. You have to figure out just how not to do them. You know, have to do the things that you can have fun at, because that's going to allow other people to experience your superpower, which is when you are feeling inspired, you are in spirit, you are doing that which you were created to do. So that's the discovery of the superpower. It's just finding that fun, finding the things that give you energy, and then giving people your energy, you know. So that's what I encourage our team to do. Bring the fun.
I
Don't
think
be
that's
a trap,
great.
man. Where's the fun?
And reconnecting with why you love teaching. I look at it like a relationship. Like when I feel like this is terrible, but when I just want to strangle my husband, I sit back and I go, okay, why did I fall in love with this man? Why should I not kill him today? Okay. You kind of go back. I'm sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
I just feel like we're all now accomplices, whether or not we like it.
But
So what do you think about it?
yeah, but if I, but rekindling that joy. And I do like that Jeff said, go and try something new. Because when I feel like I'm getting just burned out, honestly, I was getting burned out from aqua exercise. And I just went, I'm going to do something totally, I'm going to do yoga. And I started teaching yoga. And then, you get, I'm sorry, you do, and you do, and you do, and you get a little burned out again. And then I went back to aqua, and I like rediscovered my joy. Jeff?
And I just want to, the same thing. We just did a convention that was for active agers. I don't teach that population. And so I had to really redesign things for chair things. And it motivated me. The things that you're fearful of, guys, at home, the things that make you fearful, you've got to try. And that will spark passion, and that will spark that energy to come back, because sadly, we never learn when we're happy. We only learn stuff when we're kind of a little bit traumatized or having to struggle a little bit. But it's just, and let's face it, you guys, we've all been cheerleaders. And with us, the club's opening back up, like we've said, Kevin had like 35 and 45 people. They're not coming back like that. They're coming back at 10. And so if you're used to, I'm a 65-person teacher. And if I only have 10 people there, for me, my motivation is like, they don't like me anymore. I'm not here. And I go through that at my level. So you guys just got to remember that those 10 that showed up want to be there. But I really think just challenge yourselves, really challenge and think outside the box. And just like Sara said, do yoga, do something that's just not in your wheelhouse. For me to do chair exercises, I was like, all right, but how cool with the things you can do from a chair. I got obsessed.
Obsessed. And Kevin, how do you deal with burnout? I mean, we all have it.
I burned out. I left the floor. I left teaching group classes to take a corporate role job at the St. James. I am now leaving that corporate job willingly, stepping away from a very good salary to go back. So I did burn out. And what ended up happening was you do it for long enough, your body's tired. You can't help but wonder what more is out there. I had done 20,000 training sessions and all those group classes in just a decade. But what re-inspired me was I'm a big believer that one of the flaws of group fitness, and I teach this in one of the workshops for SCW Mania, is that we're too linear, that we're too old school. We line people up in rows. We use artificially accelerated music that sounds like Mickey Mouse on a drug trip. And we're not thinking about competitive industries, because you're not fighting against Orange Theory. You're not battling against Berries or Equinox or any other brand out there. You're battling against Netflix and concerts and other things that cause a mass release of dopamine and all of the endorphins and active brain cells to go, this is awesome. I need to do this more. And so I was actually at a nightclub before the shutdown, and I was sitting there watching just people party and enjoy themselves. I was enjoying myself too. But I made this realization that people want flow state. People want to exit their prefrontal cortex, leave this place of I exist, I have problems, I have a wife and a dog and a boss who dislikes me, and they want to get into their reptilian brain. They want timelessness, relatedness, selflessness, and an empowerment. And you can't do that in the old school way of teaching group fitness. If you just line people up and you say, hello, Tuesday, I'm Jimmy Buffett, and we're going to go to Margaritaville in the pool, that's way more fun than saying, oh, hi, Tuesday, I'm Kevin, and start with your squats. And so one of the things I've constantly done is redesign and challenge myself. I got to the point where I developed something for my classes, and anyone can take this. I called it the big finish. I called it the climax until Equinox stopped me. They said, please don't call things climaxes. And I left it at that. But I called it the big finish. And it was like the end of 8 Mile when Eminem does the freestyle rap. I would come up with about 30 to 40 exercises, no more than 20-second intervals. And it was on me to manage the intensity. I had to wear that stress, but the music was louder. The beat was above 120, but authentically, they were naturally made that way. I didn't just like turn up the amplifier. And people were just moving so crazy, jumping jacks, push-ups, squats. All right, Savasana, breathe. All right, flutter kicks, da, 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 da. That 15 minutes would go by, and all of a sudden they were like, wait, we're done? You're like, congratulations, you went to flow state. And so I know that was long-winded, but I think our ability to avoid burnout is to not just go to the education, because Lord knows, you know, everybody on this panel and many of our people tuned in have enough letters behind their name to crush people at Scrabble. But what matters is your ability to watch the other industries that are taking people's dopamine and reinvent yourself based on them, not just your obvious competition in fitness.
I think that's, I got to tell you, I think that's fantastic. I really do. I'm obviously a big believer in education. I've always believed in certification every single year. I can't even remember a year I haven't. I take a course, whatever course. Sometimes it'll be a business course. I've taken a lot of yoga courses, you know, active aging programs, stuff like that. But one thing that I learned from group fitness was, and this maybe, I don't know how this is going to sound, but it doesn't matter how well educated you are. If you just keep it in here, if you're not sharing it, if you're not using it, if you're not making a difference, you can have as many certifications as you want. I'm sorry, as the group fitness manager, as a club owner, I'm not giving you a raise. It's how many people are coming to your classes. And it's not just about the time of day. It's about how many people come to your classes, stay with your classes, feel committed, enjoy themselves, and you're changing their lives. And that's something that when you talk about fun, Kevin, it just grabs me. And I think, you know, I was amazed that we had, like I said, we had 240 people register for this webinar. I was like, whoa. I thought, Will, kudos to you. This was your idea, you know, and it's like, whoa, so many people. We actually have almost 100 people that are here, and we need this. We know we need this fun. Will, what really inspired you to look at those different avatars?
So,
and can you do me a favor? Can you describe them for us?
Sure. So it's based on DISC, which is something that I've used kind of in my corporate career when we've done team training. So it essentially relates to your dominant style. So people might get one and feel that they could have been the other one, and that's totally normal. If you think of it like a circle, and there are 4 points in the circle, you sit somewhere on that circle, and it could be in the middle. So you could have little elements of each of them. Essentially, if we use the superhero archetypes, there is a sort of dominant drill sergeant personality, and there's someone who loves to motivate, they love to push, they love to work hard. And the corresponding people that come to those classes want that from them. So with each superhero type, there are also class member types. We've obviously based it around instructors because that's who we want to focus on. But you need to think that the things that resonate with the superpower also resonate with those types of people in the classroom. So you've got the dominant drill sergeant, and then you have in DISC, it's called the I, and we call it the star. This is the person that's all about excitement. They want things to be fun. They want everybody to have fun. They want to create the fun and bring people along with them. They like to be up the front, making people laugh, making people enjoy themselves. Then you have the S, which is the supporter, and they are kind of the reverse. They only feel comfortable when everybody is brought along. So they're the kind of person that wants to make sure that everybody's needs in class are met. It's important to them that they see and talk to each person in class. It's less important that they come across as being amazing and effervescent, and more important that they bring everyone along with them. And then there's the C, which is the perfectionist. That's actually we've had kind of like 1,000 people do this test now, and that's the smallest group. I think it's because with group fitness instructors, That's probably less of a thing that brings you to the front of the stage if you're a perfectionist, but they're the people that really care about choreography. They want to know what the movement is, how to do it, how to execute it correctly, why it's important, and how it will benefit them. And so by understanding what your superpower is, or at least we hope to think that by starting to think about what your superpower is, you can keep the fun in teaching, because you can understand what it is you love about it, lean into that, but also get an understanding of the way you communicate and the different communication styles that your class members will resonate with. And understanding that your particular dominant style sometimes has some downsides. If you're a drill sergeant and there's a new person in the class, driving them really hard might not be the right thing to do. But if you're aware of it and you understand that that's your dominant characteristic, then you've got the self-awareness to start to communicate in different ways and bring more people in.
Will, would you say you've seen a correlation between people's styles and the types of classes they teach? As I would imagine, the drill sergeant excels in a boot campy, small group, CrossFit-y like environment where alphas sort of seek that out. Whereas a yoga, you might want to be a bit more of the supportive, find your zen type of person. Do you have any of that data?
Yeah, for sure. So it absolutely corresponds, although and this is it's a short test because we want it to be short and punchy and give people the ability to kind of self-reflect and evaluate. If you do a longer disc analysis, you'll actually find that people can be quite surprising. So off the top of your head, you might think that a supporter is like a yoga person that is bringing everyone along with them and thinking spiritually. But if you do it with a wider population of people, you realize that there are a lot of people that teach bootcamp classes that do come from a supporting space. It's less about the nature of your teaching and more about the style of your communication and what works with you and sort of your natural resting place when you are delivering a class. But yeah, I mean, classically, HIT would be a drill sergeant. Perfectionists are often cyclists and people that use performance metrics.
So that leads perfectly into the next question, which is, how will this help to improve their teaching performance? It's like, I took this at the test and I'm in the smallest group. I'm the perfectionist. And I wouldn't think I'm a perfectionist. And yet I look at all my behavior and, oh my God, shut up, Jeffrey. And Kevin, stop shaking your head. Travis doesn't know any better. So he commenting.
Travis is in the dark still.
But I am a perfectionist, and I know I am. Yet my favorite thing is yoga. My favorite thing is my active agers as well, whether it's in aqua or in yoga. And I would have thought I would be this supporter, but I'm really messed up. I guess I'm not. Jeffrey, how do you think it'll improve their teaching performance? Like when you look at these, I know you've done, oh my gosh, how many certifications? You've certified hundreds and hundreds of instructors over this pandemic, and you see them on the screen. And what I found interesting is I think I logged on to one of your certifications and half of their screens were off. And then by the end of the certification, you magically, everybody had turned their screens on and there was more exchange. How did you pull them together, and what part of your personality, what part of your avatar did you use to get them to engage with you like that?
Well, first of all, I want to ask Will, does it change? Does the avatar change when you're through? Can it change?
Yeah, definitely. Like earlier in my career, when I started teaching, and I think I was a little bit more self-conscious and less confident on stage, I was definitely sitting in the C spot, and I would make sure that I knew my choreography perfectly and everything was always like exactly right. And I was super prepared. And as I became more comfortable, and I started teaching when I was like 18. And so as I developed my adult personality, I've moved more into the star/drill sergeant space. But over time, absolutely. And I think that also the more experienced you become as a teacher, the more adept you become at integrating all the different types of styles. I think that the people that are particularly one style are often kind of that because they're new and that's what they know best, and that's kind of the slot they go into. And as you move through your career, especially if you do it with self-awareness and self-reflection, is that you can learn how to kind of get all of those different styles and bring them into sort of one integrated whole. So I'd like to think that now I sit a bit more around the middle.
See, that's just, I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, that's because I think that with the chart, I think that as teachers, we all have a part of that in us. I mean, even though we might be predominantly one way or another, but I think that we definitely have all of it. And I think as long as you're authentic as a teacher, I think that no matter what you teach, it'll come across honestly. And that's even if you mess up or you're not comfortable with something, being authentic about it is going to read true. The way I get people, like when I was teaching the teachers to put on their cameras, is basically making it a safe place. And that goes for even Group X with anything we do, is making it safe that the person that wants to be in the back row is fine to be in the back row. They're just wanting to be there. That middle row is figuring it out, and that front row wants our jobs. And just letting them know that you're aware of that, and letting them know that it's a safe place and that there's no wrong questions or answers. And you're right, during the Group X, it's a little challenging since the pandemic, because you can't hide from this. This format you cannot hide from. And I have them do movement, and I have them they have to show me a grapevine, and they have to show me movement. And some of them have never taught before, and they're embarrassed or shy about it. But it all comes down to numbers. The way we teach now is not the way you're going to teach in a year from now. And getting back to, a lot of people are burned out, and I get it. I totally get it. You know, we've all taken this time, I think, to hopefully look at our careers and see what we want from it or not want from it. You know, I'm glad, Kevin, you're coming back to it. I think we need good teachers, and we need people to spread the thing. And I think, Will, I want to incorporate what you're doing in the Group X certification and have them take that test and figure out, you know, what they are, and see how it changes, because it will change. It definitely will change, I think, and it's exciting to me.
And what is the risk of people if they don't play to that superpower? Like, Travis, what do you think about that? Like, what if they're unaware, or they're stuck in one way of teaching and they're kind of avoiding who they really are?
Yeah, you know, like a couple of things on that. Like, one, I think that the world is missing out on your gift if you don't really get a chance to really discover who you are and give that away. I think that's a big part of life, that we're supposed to discover our gift and give it away. So I think it is truly important, because in that way people can experience you more fully. That being said, I really did want to circle back to something that Will said about how everyone needs awareness. Something that we do, very similar to what Jeff does, making sure everybody does a grapevine. Anybody that comes to work at Journey has done a trainer audition. They had to do an audition to get in. Then they go into an internship. What we teach in the internship is awareness. We're talking about 4 different superhero types tonight. The American Council on Exercise, they talk about 4 different personality types. We got the director, just tell me what to do. I don't need a lot of detail. I just need to know, and I'm going to go, and I'm in here for my corporate workout, and I'm done, right? You got the deliberator. They need a lot of details, right? You got the collaborator. They'd rather dance station to station than work out. You got the expressor. The expressor is somebody, you know, motivated by rewards. They'll join your challenges. They need to know that they got a little bit more weight this time, a few more reps. And so as we discover our gifts, how we apply our gifts is that we maintain an awareness that allows us to identify different personality styles. So we're always trying to bring it out, you know, because people will attract who they are. So we'd like to have a diverse team of trainers, because in that way we can attract diverse groups of people into our membership population. That being said, we ask all of the diverse groups to stay aware that the most important power that we all have to share is to say, hey, you know what? This person might not need me to be the superstar that I am right now, or the drill sergeant that I am right now. I might need to lighten up because this person's a collaborator and they need a relationship over a drill sergeant, right? So, you know, just a couple of thoughts that I have on that, you know, so just kind of connecting and relating to everybody.
Oh, that's great. And I also find that brings to mind for me, if I find somebody has a passion for a program or a passion for a certain type of person that they connect with really well. I'm going to use you, Kevin, as an example, whether you want me to or not. Yeah, oh, please don't dance for us. Dear Lord, stop. But when we were talking to Kevin about creating the functional training certification, I've never had anybody create a manual that's more detailed, bigger, longer, more organized in a shorter period of time. If you find somebody who's passionate about what they do, they just, and I think Jeff, you brought up you used the term authentic. If you can find somebody who's authentic in what they're doing, whether they're the supporter, the perfectionist, the director, whatever, if they're passionate in that, I think they really excel and they really bring it forth. I can't even believe this. We're getting close to the end and this just like flew by. I'm going to start with some closing responses from you guys. If you can keep it somewhat short, we'll see. Kevin, I'm going to start with you.
I just want to make one thing as maybe the Avengers fan of the group. I don't know about you guys, but like I fist fought a flock of people to get my tickets for Endgame back in the day. So I think it's important that we pause for just 1 second and remember that we're saying superpower. This is not just like a skill, right? Like I can go pick up a tennis racket and I have some skill with sports, but I am not a superhero or have a superpower on the tennis court. The key is to look at the thing that you do exponentially better than someone else. And it's okay if you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't know what that is. It's probably your relationship building ability. It's probably your ability to empathize and listen and create culture and just this comfortable, safe place if you have a trouble. But whatever it is, you have to kind of use Occam's razor here. And what is the simplest thing that you can bring it down to of, I do this better than other people. And that doesn't make you arrogant. It doesn't make you puffed out chest. It just means that you realize that your superpower, much like the Avengers, Iron Man's not trying to be Thor and Thor's not trying to be Captain America, right? Everybody's got their role. And if you're loud and you get on stage and it feels like a nightclub, a concert, it's just next level energy, go to that. If you're a tactician, the perfectionist, and you're on that cycle bike and you like, I want this metric, do that. Whatever it is that is your superpower, embrace it holistically, authentically, to quote Jeff. But just remember, we're talking a superpower, not just the thing you're kind of good at on Tuesdays at the end of every quarter.
Okay, stay away from Tuesdays at the end of a quarter. Jeffrey.
I just want to say that this is the time, guys, if you're going to make this your career, make it your career and treat it like a business. Need to know who's you're managing your club. When you negotiate your money, go back and say, listen, let's renegotiate in 3 months. Treat it like a business. We are needed right now. And have your classes counted. And you can fill your classes. I just want you to be empowered. I think everybody on this panel are so pro group fitness and pro movement that we're afraid to ask for money for some reason in our field. And no other field are we afraid to ask for money. And I don't want you to be afraid to ask for it. You're worth it. So just know your worth. Just know your worth and treat it like a business.
Great. And Travis?
I love Will's assessment there. That being said, quite often we want to go a little deeper. And so I would just encourage you to consider where, here's namaste. Namaste is like, the divine in me sees the divine in you, right? That kind of thing. What are we really talking about here? We're talking about this place where we feel the most enthusiastic, right? Enthusiasm comes from the Greek, right? It means the God within, right? And so you have to find those things that move you, the things that move you into your spirit. And then that's like what we were talking about earlier. Make that list of those things that give you energy, those things that make your soul sing, and then give away that gift. Spend your life doing them, because that's where you're supposed to be living, where you can feel enthusiastic, where you can feel inspired, where you can feel in spirit. So go deep in that and let the world experience it.
And Will, we're gonna end with almost
my closing remark is take the quiz, because I'm super interested to know, and then let me know, hit me up on social media, tell me if you agree, if you disagree. And I'm actually taking a few master classes that deep dive into this a little bit more. So the quiz just scratches the surface. And if you want to learn a little bit more, I'm taking some master classes over the next few weeks. I really love this stuff. As I said at the top, I studied psych when I was at university. I've been training lots of instructors, and it excites me to be able to not just teach kind of how to teach, but also how to find joy in teaching, because I know that that's what a lot of people are looking for and needing right about now. And your clients need it too, because everybody needs more fitness.
And you guys can take his shift classes at Livestream Mania in May.
How you can.
But I also want to end with you guys. Here we go. Wonderful. And I want to thank Mike Lieber for running the webinar this evening, and he created that beautiful video. And I want to thank Travis and Kevin and Will and Jeff for joining us, and thank you all for joining us. And I will see you Thursday, and I'm trying to remember what webinar is Thursday. Functional fitness from bump and beyond. Look at this. All these guys have no clue what I'm talking about. All right. Bye, guys. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us.
See you later.